This is a civilization restoration file from the year 3026. In 1959, southern China was home to about 4,000 South China tigers. 40 years later, the confirmed wild population zero, one of the 21st century's fastest extinctions. South China tiger, Xiamen tiger, Chinese tiger. In English records, it was called the South China tiger, Amoy tiger, Xiamen tiger, Chinese tiger. One species, at least 7 names. As if each name was an attempt to hold on to it. The word Amoy caught our attention. It isn't modern English. It comes from the Hokkien pronunciation of Xiamen, a romanization left by 17th century Western missionaries and traders. This word was later embedded in its scientific name, amoyensis, a species taxonomic designation, carrying within it a linguistic fossil from the colonial era. But what truly stopped us wasn't its name. It was a dataset. Genetic analysis suggests the South China tiger may be the most basal lineage among all tiger subspecies. The most ancestral branch, meaning all other tigers, Bengal, Siberian, Sumatran, may have diverged from it. The most ancient tiger, the origin of the lineage. Yet its fate was the most devastating among all tiger subspecies. Records from the 1950s indicate approximately 4,000 South China tigers remained in the forests of southern China, distributed across the mountain jungles of Fujian, Guangdong, Hunan, Jiangxi, and other provinces. It was the apex predator of this land. In 1959, everything changed. The Chinese government classified the South China tiger as a pest. The original term in the archives was thisub, a harmful beast, a species to be exterminated. Mass hunting campaigns followed. Hunters entered the mountains with rifles. Organized hunts, rewarded kills. Tiger skins and bones could be sold. Killing a tiger was a merit, not a crime. By the late 1970s and 1980s, the wild population had collapsed. Survivors may have numbered only 30 to 80. Yet even then, the killing had not entirely stopped. By the late 1990s, the last confirmed wild sightings disappeared. No verified wild footage has surfaced since. A lineage that existed for millions of years went from 4,000 to 0 in 40 years. The IUCN listed the South China tiger as critically endangered, with a note, possibly functionally extinct in the wild. Functionally extinct means, perhaps some remain, but the population can no longer sustain itself. Then we found something in the archives. It happened in 2007. A farmer named Zhou Jinglong from Shaanxi province claimed to have photographed a wild South China tiger. The news caused a national sensation. The photos were cited by officials, circulated by media. Some celebrated. The South China tiger still exists. But then, investigators on the internet began comparing details. The conclusion, the tiger in the photo was a New Year poster. A cardboard print. This became an iconic scandal in 21st century China. But from 1,000 years later, what interests us isn't the fabrication itself. It's the psychology behind it. They wanted so desperately to find one. A species yearning for another species, so intense it made an entire nation believe a fake photograph. Captive South China tigers still exist. Approximately 150 to 200. Scattered across zoos and breeding centers throughout China. But one number silenced us for a long time. All of them descended from just 6 founders. 150 descendants sharing the genes of 6 ancestors. This means extremely low genetic diversity. Inbreeding is unavoidable. Immunodeficiency accumulates. Each generation more fragile than the last. Someone tried another path. A Chinese woman named Li Quan launched a project in South Africa. Save China's tigers. Captive South China tigers were sent to a private reserve in South Africa to relearn hunting on open grasslands. The project was mired in controversy. Some questioned its scientific validity, others the flow of funds. And the fundamental question remained. Can a tiger born in a zoo learn to survive in the wild? Can the forests of southern China still accommodate their return? The results were limited. While reviewing this archive, we noticed a symmetry in the timeline. In 1959, humans declared it a pest to be exterminated. In 1977, humans declared it a first-class protected species to be saved. The same species made completely opposite judgments about the same tiger within 18 years. But it was too late. The protection came too slow. Habitats had already been fragmented by farmland and highways. The rifles had already done their work. The South China tiger's native habitat, the subtropical mountain forests of Fujian, Guangdong, Hunan, Jiangxi, was once its kingdom. Now those forests hold highways, hydroelectric stations, villages. All traces of the tiger have been erased. Only the occasional character for tiger in place names hints that something once walked here. They first hunted it as a pest, then searched the forests for its traces like searching for a ghost. A single fake photo could set the nation ablaze. because they so desperately wanted it to still be there. But it was already gone. Looking back 1,000 years later, what strikes us most isn't that it went extinct. It's that it was the most ancient tiger, the possible origin point of all tigers, erased first by its own homeland. It had so many names: South China tiger, Xiamen tiger, Chinese tiger, Amoy tiger. But the last name that belongs to it may be phantom. If you lived in that era, perhaps a hillside near your city once knew the footsteps of one. You would never know, and it will never come back. This may be the most contradictory thing humanity ever did: exterminate a species with their own hands, then spend decades trying to prove it was still alive.